Good morning, it's Tuesday, I feel terrific. In actual fact, before I get started, let me just go and say hello to the office staff. Mrs. Marie, good morning, how's it going?
Morning.
No, I want to start a fight. Hey Monica, love the red hair, pucker.
Social distancing? Stop flaunting the law.
Sorry Miss M, I tend to get a little bit forgetful now and again. Anyway, good morning anyway. See ya.
Yeah, good morning to you too. But keep your 2 meters, yeah?
Oh boy, have I got a crap job to tell you about today. I'll just pop out in the workshop, then I'll explain it all. Good shit, the old K-Seal. Do you know what? Yesterday afternoon, I wish I'd just taken this stuff, put it in the cooling system, shut the goddamn bonnet, and forgot about the bloody stupid car. But I didn't. Anyway, Mk5 Mondeo 2 litre diesel. It came in with a strong smell of coolant in the car. I checked the coolant expansion bottle, it was low on water. So I'd done the usual checks. EGR valve, radiator, thermostat housing, none of that was leaking. So I looked inside the car, I took the side panel off the centre console and there I saw the water dripping and all the orange antifreeze underneath the heater box. And I thought, great, because so far, in all the years I've been fixing these Mk5 Mondeos, I've never had to do a heater rad. So this is the first one. Great. I don't know how to do the job. Here's the problem I've got. I want to start off by saying, do not take this video as any kind of instructions on how to change a heater rad. Number one, I do not have access to the Ford ETIS system anymore, so I've got no information. I looked on the internet for information on how this dashboard comes apart. There is nothing. I can't find anything. So I've gone along with the lines of removing this dashboard from this car the conventional way. By that I mean removing the dashboard, then removing the heater box. Now, I've already got the dash out and I've already got the heater rad out of the car, which I'll show you shortly. But I believe I've done it all totally wrong. I really do. I had a struggle getting it all out. I'm going to have a struggle putting it back in because I'm putting it back the way I took it out. But I'm under the belief now that the heater box comes out of this car on these Mk5s with the dashboard. The dashboard and the heater box, all as one assembly, comes out together. And then you put it on the bench and dismantle it on the bench. If I ever get another one, that's how I would do it. I've done it all wrong, I know that. The job is just, I thought it was just very badly thought out. It's probably not, because what I've discovered is that the heater box and the wiring and everything, the wiring will unplug from the passenger side when you take the glove box out. So to me, it says the wiring and everything stays on the dash and the whole lot just comes out. It's still a big job. It's a nasty bloody job to do. But anyway, what I'm going to show in this video is how I've done it totally wrong. But you can kind of see through this video where the heater rad is, how it's fitted, and then you can make your own minds up. If you ever have to do this job, well, put it this way, if you have to take the car, your Mk5, to a garage to have this fixed, it's going to cost you a goddamn fortune. It's certainly not going to be cheap. The heater rad, including the VAT, was about £200. Fitting it is probably going to be, I don't know, a lot of money. Stupid amount of money. Anyway, I'll show you how I've done this, and then you can make your own mind up. Alright, first up, this centre console, it's going to have to come out, the whole lot. There are some light bolts that hold it in from the sides, okay? I will say this centre console, although it might look a bit complicated, once you've got most of the bits just unclip, most of all around the gear lever and all that, it doesn't come apart too badly. So I won't knock it, and the wiring connectors unplug, and I will say it comes out not too bad at all as centre consoles go. Now this fascia, which I've obviously got out of the car now, there is a lot you've got to take off. All your entertainment system here, radio, whatever, your glove box has to come right out, your instrument pack, the steering column has to come out, headlight switch, there's just about everything has to come off it. But you know, a lot of dashboards, you've got to take a lot of shit off, you know, to get them out of the car. That's not the issue I've got here. I'm going to show you what the problem I've come across, which I still can't work it out. Right. Okay, apart from a few bolts which go on the end of the dashboard, okay, to actually hold it to the metal frame behind, that's straightforward enough, no problem. But either side of the dash, on the outer edge, there's like a lug which comes off this like plastic moulding. And there's the metal frame that sits behind this, I'll show you in a minute. There's a tab on it which goes onto this bit where you put a screw through. Now this is right at the top of the dash. There's tons of wiring and all kinds of crap in the way. And it is difficult to get an extension bar and get that screw undone, let alone putting it back on again. And as I've just said, there's one of these either side of the outer bit of the dash. I'm telling you, they are really difficult to get to, and it's like a little 7mm headed bolt that you've got to unscrew. The one on the passenger side, this side, isn't too bad, but the one on the driver's side is a right ass to get to. Now I've got the dash set up on the ground like this. So this would be how you'd be like sitting over that side, and there's all your music entertainment centre here, okay? I'm going to take the camera around the other side of the dash, right in this centrepiece, right? And I'm going to show you something. Okay, so now I'm on the inside of the dash. If you can imagine, like just here at the back of the dash, you've got the windscreen coming up here, right? So just down from the windscreen, down the back edge of the dash, down here where my finger is, you'll see like a screw hole there. There's another 7mm bolt which goes in here, but it goes from like the windscreen way through this way. Now this one here, which is on the driver's side, I had to get my hand through where the steering column goes and use a 7mm spanner, ring-ended spanner, to undo that 7mm bolt head, a quarter of a turn at a time. I couldn't even get a socket on it. I had to use a spanner, and it took about 20 minutes to get that one bolt out. I don't understand why they put that bolt there. It is really difficult to get to, but that's not all. There's another one here on the passenger side. I can't show it because when I yanked the dashboard, I actually snapped this one off. So that's how I got rid of that one. But there was no way, because of all the heater boxes in the way here, you physically cannot get to that bolt. I don't see how you can do it. But inside the car, the one that I did snap off on the passenger side, that's the clip where the bolt goes through this way. Okay, and the dashboard sits here, over the top. You've also got that frame in the way, which isn't helping. But it's an awful lot you've got to take off just to get this heater box out. But I'm going to show you something now, because as I found, you haven't actually got to remove the heater box to change the heater rad. So once your actual fascia is removed, you've got this whole metal frame. And believe me, this has to come out. No two ways about it. There's a few bolts either side on the edges, not a problem. This frame, once again, is a complete and utter bloody nightmare, and I'm going to show you why. First off, before I go too far, these little brackets here, these are where the 7mm bolts go through these tabs here and go into your dashboard, either edge. Okay, so I would say what I'm going to do, make sure these tabs don't get bent down. I'd keep them bent up, otherwise your dash could probably sag at the edges. So they have to be pretty straight, I reckon. And that's the tab that's on the passenger side of the dash. There's going to be various crap bolted onto this frame, and a lot of the wiring looms that run along this frame, they'll be clipped into it. There'll be holes with poppers that are just clipped into it. This airbag, I forget what you call it now, it's the one below the driver's legs. You can just unplug that and leave that in place. And there's another module there, you can just leave that in place, just unplug it. Now if you haven't noticed already, you'll see that I've removed both the front doors. Oh my God. Who would have ever thought you would have to remove your front bloody doors to change a bloody heater rad? God damn it. Luckily, there's only 2 plug connectors, which are quite easy to disconnect. And there's 2 10mm bolts, one on each bracket. So the doors actually lift off quite easily. Oh, just forgetting as well, you've got the check strap on the door, which is held on by a 10mm. Don't forget that one. But here's the problem. On this A-pillar, there's a plug there, which you take off, okay? Through that plug, there's a bolt goes through there and goes into that metal frame. Here's why I had to take the door off. Look at the bloody length of that bolt. That is absolutely stupidity. It doesn't have to be this long. It could be a third of this length and it would have still have worked. This bolt, there's a big washer in there. It goes through there, straight through there like that, and you screw it into a nut in that frame. You're just going to have to try and picture this here, okay? This is that frame, and you've got the A-pillar of the car sits here, and the frame bolts up against the A-pillar. This little piece here, as this bolt goes through the A-pillar, it goes into this nut here, right? You screw it in, and it winds this nut outwards, and this butts up against the A-pillar, thus holding this bar totally secure at the bottom onto the A-pillar. Then you tighten. When it's tight, you'll screw this bolt all the way in and you'll just tighten it up and that'll be it. This will be secure. It's a stupid idea. I'm telling you, it's a frigging stupid idea. Number one, when I had to undo this, I had to put mole grips on this because it was that bloody tight. It's almost stripped the threads. Seriously, I'm going to put a load of lubrication on this because I was lucky to get it out. I thought the bolt was going to snap. And obviously, once I've opened the door, even taking the check strap off, this bolt is far too long to get out. You can't get it out of here. Even with that wound right in, this was still in here like that. So I wouldn't have been able to get this frame off. That's why I took the doors off. Are you starting to feel my goddamn anxiety level is going through the frigging roof? Anyway. Let's move the head on. There's a few more bits and pieces I've got to show you here. Important bits. Still on the subject of this lovely frame, there's 2 bolt holes here. These are on the driver's side. You have to access these 2 bolts from underneath the scuttle panel, under the bonnet, well below where the wipers are. So once you've removed your scuttle panel, you see them 2 bolt holes? There'll be 2 13mm headed bolts there you've got to remove. I've removed the air cleaner box, the battery and battery tray. The reason being, your aircon pipes, which are held in by a 13mm nut, and they go over a stud, you have to unbolt them from here, because then pipes go into your heater box as well, and you can't get your heater rad out without disconnecting these aircon pipes. Your 2 heater pipes are down here as well. The clips are pretty hard to get to, but they are manageable. The pipes are actually stuck to the bloody heater matrix pipes, so I had to twist them quite a bit to try and get them off, but they're doable. So I mean, as heater pipes normally go when they're on heater rads, they're not the easiest of things to get off, but yeah, I'm not really moaning about them. Now I've removed this heater rad, okay, don't worry, I'll show you how it comes out in a minute. I'm just going to show you where it is leaking. I reckon it was leaking like up in the middle here somewhere and been running down, and there's loads of this bloody orange antifreeze that's built up and it's been dripping. And as I took the side panel off the centre console initially, I could see all the water dripping at the bottom of the heater. And there's your 2 pipes that will go underneath the bonnet. The heater hose is obviously going to push onto them with some spring clips on them. They're a sod to get off though. But this bit here is right behind the heater. So you've got to move the heater forward in order to get these pipes off anyway. And while I'm in this bit, because I can't show this bit in the car, these pipes will sit on like a plastic casing of the heater. Then there's another piece of casing which is going to sit over these pipes like that. And there'll be like 2 Torx 10 screws which hold these 2 casings together. You know, it would have been so much easier if they just put clamps around these pipes. So you could have just undone them, moved the pipes out of the way, and this literally, there's nothing else holding this in. This could have just slid straight out if they'd given you enough room. But obviously not. They've done it the bloody hard way. Anyway, here's the new one. I'll have to be a little bit gentle with this. We don't want to break this one. Right, because this heater box is actually bolted to that metal frame at the top. Once it's off, there's one bolt down the passenger side underneath the heater blower. There's a 10mm bolt, and that's about all that's holding the motor on. I mean, the whole heater box. So the whole heater box will literally pull forward, and you can twist it. So you haven't got to disconnect any of the wiring on this heater box, apart from one plug connector, which goes on a little motor here, which the wire is covering the heater rad. So once that one connector's out of the way, you can pull the old rad out once you've disconnected the clamp at the back. And then, with your new radiator, I shall do this in real time. That whole radiator, you can just, by the way, before I put it in, I've got a load of rag and brake cleaner in. I've cleaned all this shit out of there, so it doesn't stink anymore with our new rad fitted. That radiator will just slide straight back in like that, so easily. I don't know why they couldn't have made it so it could have come out without all this hassle. And that's it, it's fitted. I'll refit the clamp down the back of the heater on the two pipes, and then just push the heater box back onto the bulkhead. In case you're wondering, I did think to myself, what if this fascia was all part of this frame, it all come off as one great big unit, so that would sit on there like that, all as one great big assembly. I don't think so. There's a problem, because this part of the frame at the back of the dash here, I'm going to show you what the problem is. There are bolt holes here where the heater literally bolts onto these this way with 8mm bolts. And when that dash is covering it, you can't get to these bolts because the heater's in the way. In actual fact, I'll show you in the car what I mean. You see that metal frame bolts up along here, and these holes here, there's 8mm bolts. They go through these holes and into that frame from this side. And with the dash on top here, there's no way in hell you can get to these bolts. So you've got to remove the fascia before you can remove that frame. Unless, of course, you see, I can't get my head around this, how it's supposed to come apart. I still can't. Unless, maybe, you disconnect all the wiring connectors for the loom that runs right across the heater, either side, and you remove the dash, that metal frame, and the heater box, all as one assembly. I don't know. In actual fact, I've lost bloody interest now. I'm going to put it back together. So I'm going to bolt this baby back in, and then I'll show you where we're at. Right, that's the old frame bolted in. So now, I'll tell you what, it's a daunting old job. I should have said this earlier, but on a job like this, where you've got like wiring and God knows what bits you've got to disconnect. Number one, everything you take off, you want to put it somewhere secure with all the screws and whatever that you unbolted from it, so you know how it goes back together. And also, use your phone. Take lots of pictures. Take lots of pictures of how it's coming apart, because you'll forget. And then you can go back and you can look up and see how it was. Just a tip. Nice. I will say the dashboard actually has gone in really well. It's just slid straight onto its locators. There's a little bit of a dip right in the middle where it's a bit lower than what it is at the edges, but I think that quite a lot of these are the same. If I ever have to change the windscreen, I'll probably pack it out, but it's not really noticeable, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, the dashboard, it literally went bonk, straight into place. No problem at all. The only thing now, there's temperature sensors which plug onto these outer air vents, so don't forget them. There's all the wiring to connect for your airbag. Make sure all the wiring is routed through the relevant holes where it's supposed to. This is the whole point why I say take photographs of how all the wiring is, so you know which wiring looms to route where, so you know where they all go. But so far, it's gone back together, pucker. You see them difficult bolts that get to up the top of the dash? Putting a little piece of tissue in the socket holds the screw secure. There, that's one screw in. Bingo. It's kind of like getting there. This, all your radio and media centres bolted in, top air vents, hazard switches wired up, your radio control, well heater controls are all wired up, and that will pop on there just like that. Right, centre console's in, that slides over your gear lever, that just clips down, 4 screws, this piece, plug your wiring in, done. One thing, put this tray in before you put this piece in, otherwise you won't be able to fit the tray. Yeah! Job done. You know, funnily enough, everything works. Sure, you know, for 3 screws that are left over, considering the amount that I had to take out, I don't think I've done too bad here. Flipping heck. I'll tell you what, I don't want to do this job again anytime soon. No, I'm only joking. Really, I could have done this job with my hands tied behind my back and blindfolded at the same time. But yeah, on a positive note, I've managed to connect everything up properly because everything works. I've checked all the electrics in the car and it's all working perfectly fine. In fact, everything went back together quite nicely, apart from obviously there's a few screws missing here and there. Well, that's not to be expected. But anyway, all it needs now really is one of yous out there to take things a little step further and show us how to do the job properly. But that's it. I'm going to go and have a well-deserved cup of tea now. So till the next time, see ya!